Welcome everyone to this very exciting debut here at the original Farmers Market, one of the most historic spots in all the world, forget Los Angeles, of Mr. David Hamlin's new book, Winter in Chicago. Woo! Very exciting. Some of you already have your copies, signings to come and going on, I believe. My name is Alysia Painter, and I am a writer, principally with NBC Los Angeles, but that's where I met David and Sydney through when they were doing PR for this lovely, lovely landmark. And when they asked me to be involved, I jumped at it because David is so smart and so funny, and I know about his interesting past both in Chicago with the ACLU, and he's been a great community servant working to help homelessness in this city and elsewhere, and is just a fine fellow. So I knew it would be an excellent book. It is an excellent book, and I'm very excited to be here. So I was asking your lovely wife and partner earlier how this book came about, if you've been working on it for a number of years, or if this has been something since you recently moved to Palm Springs that's been a very heartfelt and meaningful project for you.
Welcome to the market. It is based on an incident which occurred some 40-odd years ago, and I have carried that incident around with me for all that time, but I never had time to write because we were trying to earn a living until we got to Palm Springs, and once I got started, it took all of 7 months.
I would like to know your writing process for the book, because it really, there's a lot going on, sort of all at once. So not just this layer, but many layers behind it. Did you start with the principal mystery of the book, the principal incident of the book, which you'll find out about, very, very moving and, you know, heart-wrenching, and work from there? Or did you start with your principal character, Emily, just a wonderful, wonderful character? How did you work to make sure all of your T's were crossed and I's dotted with so many things going on? So many. Did you have one of those big boards with the yarn going to different places? How did you do it?
I started with a basic outline. I knew the core story thread from the very beginning. And what I was really after was 2 things running parallel tracks, 3 maybe. I wanted to tell the justice story, the crime, if a crime it'd be, and I wanted to tell the feminist story about women who were breaking glass ceilings in the middle of the 70s, because I worked with women like that and greatly admired them, still do. And I wanted to do something about the death of great rock and roll radio on the AM dial. Those of us of a certain age understand that no matter where you grew up, there was at least one great AM rock station on which, on WWDC in Washington, for example, you could literally hear Chuck Berry, the Beatles, and Frank Sinatra in the same set. That vanished. It's gone. I care not to speculate on what replaced it because I don't like much of it, but there was that golden moment in radio, for me at least, that I wanted to capture right before it really began to fall apart. And in roughly the mid-70s, when FM stations stopped playing only classical music and began to branch out into other kinds of rock and longer playlists and off-the-charts playlists, radio on the AM dial never found a way to adapt. And while I think that's sad, I did want to celebrate that moment. So I had those 3 strands running parallel, and the characters sort of came along as I needed them.
You talk a lot about the changing nature of news, and how news was a little bit more substantial at one time, and then a format change comes along where it's more sort of headlines and catchy, and how did things like Watergate and the gas shortage, which you reference in the book, how was that impacting some of the themes you spoke about news and news delivery and reporting?
What's happening on WEL is that while they are the top pop rock station in Chicago, they still do a full 12 minutes of news at the top of the hour in the morning. That's unheard of, unless you're listening to an all-news station. That fell by the wayside very quickly. An abrogation of responsibility in my view, but no one asked. So that I wanted very much to match the notion of consultants who come in and have this formula that they plug in, whether it fits the format they're working with or not, with the fact that that same kind of tinkering immediately spilled over to the news side. And that, it seems to me, is a danger that we all see still alive today. But mostly it was trying to capture that moment when AM radio was top of the heap.